I am now performing the financial projections. After obtaining or input this information, I was able to obtain and present this data. Here, this is the data. We have the January sales of 100,000, the sales growth 2%, selling expense ratio 60%, and the general expenses $19,000. So in the requirement one, we have been asked by a company to perform net income projection for the next 5 months. So here, we are going to project the net income for the next 5 months. So how are we going to do that? So we have to input the sales by putting equal sign and click the cell January sales, which is a D7, and it automatically copy the amount. And for the expenses, we are going uh, uh, in, the, in this information, the selling expense um, is 60% of the sales of the January. So you have to cut and are going to calculate that by putting equal sign and click the cell in the B15 and multiplied by the selling expense ratio 60% by simply clicking or the cell in the D9, and we can obtain the information, the $60,000. And for the general expenses, it is stated that it is fixed at $19,000, and you have to put equal sign and click the cell, and it will automatically copy the amount. And for the total expenses, we have to simply add those two expenses. You have to put equal sign and click those cell selling expenses plus the general expenses, and we can obtain the amount. So in the net income, we are going to um, deduct the sales from the total expenses. So by doing that, we have to put equal sign and click the cell in the B15, which is 100,000, minus the total expenses in the B19, and we can now obtain the net income of January, which is the $21,000. And the next is the net income in the February. So how are we going to do that? So it is stated that the sales growth rate will increase by 2% per month. So we are going to calculate that by putting equal sign and click the cell in the D7 and multiplied by 2%, or um, times 1 plus the 2%, and we can now, or the 2% has been added in the sales of February. And the selling expenses, it is stated that the selling ratio is 60% of the sales. So we are going to calculate that by putting equal sign and click the sales in January or in February and multiply by the selling expense ratio, which is 60%, and we can now obtain the amount. And general expenses, it is fixed, so we can simply put equal sign and click the general expenses, and it will automatically copy the amount. And for the total expenses, we can simply add the two accounts by click the sell the C17 plus the C18, and we can now obtain the amount. And for the net income, we are going to deduct the sales of February from the total expenses. By doing this, you have to put equal sign and click the amount in the February, which is just in the C15, minus the cell in the C19, and we can now obtain the amount of the net income in the February. So the same process goes in the next month. We have to multiply the sales. We have to multiply the sales in the selling expense ratio, and the growth rate will increase by 2%. And after doing that, the data will become like this. That is the data of the March, and the sale has been increased by 2%, and its selling expense is not, and we have now the net income in the forecasted net income in the next 5 months. So now let's proceed to the requirement tree. So in the requirement tree, we have here the two options, the options A and option B. So in the option A, the selling expenses will drop to 50%, and the general expenses will increase to 29,000, and the gross sales rate will drop to 1%. So what will happen to the data? The sales growth rate will drop to 1%, and the selling expense ratio will drop to 50%, and the general expenses will increase to $29,000. As you can see, all the amounts has been changed because it is included in the functions we have done a while ago, and the data will change. It will automatically calculated. The amount of the net income in the February will change, as well as in the next months. And let's go to the option B. In the option B, the sales growth will increase to 4%, and the general expenses will reduce to 9,000, and our selling expense will raise or increase to 70%. And now let's find out what will happen to the data. So the sales rate will increase to 4%, the selling expense ratio will raise to 70%, and the general expenses will decrease to $9,000. And as you can see, the data has been changed. Because it is automatically calculated. It is included in the functions we have done, and all the data are changed just like that. And now let's move to the Excell. So in this worksheet, the bank obtain loan, and of course there is another account will add to the data. We will now have an interest expense which is a 300,000 per month, and now let's add it on the data. Let's add cells. And now let's input another account which is the interest expense. The interest expense as stated is $300. The same goes within the next month. And of course, we have the new account added. The total expenses will also change. We have to simply add it from the next cell, the B19, and we can now have the new amount of the total expenses. We just simply add the new cell, we add the interest expense and the new amount. Here, as you can see, all that amount has been changed because we have a new account has been added. So, what I have learned in this performance, all the cells had been changed because it is run by a function and it is automatically calculates the data, and it's very easy to compute, and it is used in the business today as because it is easy to use, unlike in the manual calculations, because in manual calculations you need to rewrite it and it will cost so much time, and there are a lot of trails to be followed, and 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 while this Excel, we can easily change, or if there is an error, we can easily change and can spot the error and change it, and the rest will automatically change and calculated. So what data or formula are to be added for this to be able, as what I have learned, by calculating the data, you need to execute the functions, or by putting the equal sign and choose the functions you want to sum, or you like sum or forecast and many other functions, or you can easily tap each cell and perform or choose operations after putting the equal sign. And that is all.